Well, let's continue our coverage now with a closer look at the races in Winnipeg. We're happy to have on the program this evening radio broadcaster Hal Anderson. He is the host of Connecting Winnipeg on 680 CJOB. Hal, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Michael. Pleasure to be here.
Listen, I'm going to ask you to start by giving us a bit of the lay of the land, because at dissolution, Liberals held 4 seats in Winnipeg, the Conservatives had 2, the NDP had 2. I take it that was expected to change as recently as last December, but what would you say about the state of play right now?
Yeah, I don't know. Trump and the tariffs have taken so much oxygen out of this. It's hard to get a read on where people are at with other really important issues. I think affordability is right up there. That sort of falls under the Trump tariff umbrella as well. Probe Research does polling here in Manitoba and in Winnipeg, and they've got it pretty close. They've got it 44 Liberals, 42 Conservatives, NDP in single digits at 9%. So, there's some battlegrounds between the Tories and the Liberals, and we'll see how those play out. I'm more interested, to be honest with you, to be personal here, I'm more interested to see how the NDP do in some of these ridings. Will they hang on to Elmwood at 9% if the NDP have a bad night on the 28th? What about Nikki Ashton up in Churchill? So I'll be watching where the NDP finishes, but in many of these ridings, it's going to be a battle between Liberals and Tories.
Okay, let's dig into that, because as you say, you're keeping a very close eye on the NDP. And when it comes to bases of support for New Democrats, Western Canada really is a place that they look to for consistent support. What has changed here? Have they dropped the ball? Is it about their leadership? Is it about Donald Trump? What are you hearing on that front?
I think it's Trump. I think it's Trump and the tariffs. And this really has boiled down to, I think, a question of leadership. Which leader can handle Trump and the tariff situation? And I think it's become a choice between Carney and Poilievre. And Jagmeet Singh and the NDP are kind of out in the cold looking in. I think it's that simple.
Okay, if it's that simple then, and you're not alone on this, everyone's saying this is now boiled down to a 2-horse race between Liberals and Conservatives. So let's break that up a bit. Liberals right now leading the polls. What is the best, what is the worst thing that people are saying to you about Mark Carney?
Well, when Trudeau was still a prime minister and leading the Liberals, they wanted him gone. I mean, that was just the bottom line. And then once he was gone and Carney was chosen, a lot of people are now giving that party, Carney, a second look. I heard from diehard Liberal supporters when Trudeau was still running things, we want him out of there. His best before date is long past. Let's move on. And then I think Carney, too, being a former governor of the Bank of Canada, I think people say maybe this is the guy who can handle the tariff situation with Donald Trump the best. Plus, I think Poilievre starts getting a hard second look. A lot of times it was believed that he was just going to go on to be the prime minister and the Tories would be in power. And I think now he's starting to get a hard second look, and maybe people are seeing some things they're not sure about with him. It's really, changed on a dime in a very short period of time.
Yeah, changed on a dime, as you say. What are they saying about concerns of Pierre Poilievre?
Well, the big talk on my show, Connecting Winnipeg on CJOB over the past few days, has been, does size matter? His rallies. He had a big one here in Winnipeg at the start of the campaign early on, about 4,000 people. He's had even bigger rallies in other centers. And so that's been a bit of a discussion. A lot of people aren't buying the polls. A lot of people that I hear from on my show say, well, come on, how can it change that quickly for Carney and the Liberals? I think the rallies matter in this sense. I think the rallies are an indication that Tory support, which is strong, is rock solid compared to the support for the Liberals and for Carney. It moved quickly over to Carney and the Liberals, and maybe it could move back again real quickly. I think I personally think the debates are going to matter big time, 10 days out from Canadians going to the polls.
And what do you think people will be judging Carney on in those debates? If you're talking about a rock-solid support for Conservatives and perhaps a more ephemeral support for Liberals, what do your listeners, your callers, want to see or will be judging Carney on, do you think, when he actually takes to the debate stage?
Yeah, obviously we have a large Francophone community in Winnipeg, in St. Boniface, so I think the French debate will matter especially in that part of Winnipeg. But I think Carney's performance in French is going to really matter in Quebec, and you know how important that province is, rich in votes and lots of seats. So I think the French debate might matter more than usual. And then when it comes to the English debate, I hear from a lot of Tory supporters that say Poilievre is going to mop the floor with Carney. But I wonder if maybe some Canadians might like Carney's I'll call it unpolished performance. He's not your typical politician, and maybe boring is what Canadians are looking for right now. And I think it's change in the air, but is changing a leader enough to get enough Canadians to vote for Carney and the Liberals to give them, the Liberals, another term in power? We'll see. I really think it's certainly the most consequential election of my lifetime, and I'm an old guy. But this is, us people in the media tend to say, oh, this is, a really, really, really important election. This is an important election.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I appreciate you sharing your insight as we cover this important election. Hal, I hope we get to speak again before this is done, but for this evening,
Yeah.
thank you. Really, really appreciate the time.
Thank you, Michael. Pleasure.